Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know that there's a little bit of a delay, so there's my reminder to go live on my calendar here. So let me dismiss that really quick. So again, thank you guys all for tuning in either live or on the replay. You're welcome to go ahead and answer your questions in the discussion on the live video. Ask your questions on the live video, and we will try and answer those throughout this live video. And again, I'm excited to have a special guest, Nancy Maurer, and I'll tell you a little bit about her in just a minute. But this video is in direct response to a question that I asked a few weeks ago. I asked in the group, what do you wish you knew more about email marketing? And several people messaged me and even posted as comments that they don't see the value. They're deleting emails all the time and they don't want to be sending junk. Well, I want to say thank you guys for saying that and sharing that information, because that inspired this conversation with Nancy. And I also want to start off by saying that email marketing has the highest ROI of anything that you can do in the world of marketing. It's $38 to $42 for every dollar spent. Now, I really want those odds at the blackjack tables. That would make blackjack way more fun. Anyway, I think it's very important to get over this block of not wanting to share junk. And so I've brought in expert in coaching, Nancy Maurer. Nancy, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you, and so that everybody understands where you're coming from.
Well, thank you, Kendra. And this topic is near and dear to my heart, as you have also helped me overcome some of my blocks around marketing to be a lot more wise with the limited time that I have. But I am a leadership and career fulfillment coach. Basically, I help people get out of their own way to find the path to living their potential, feeling more accomplished, and being more successful, however they may define that. So I work a lot on mindset and just basically clearing those obstacles out of the way.
So, thank you very much. So, again, very excited. Now, let's talk about a little bit about email marketing. And so I hear a lot of people saying that it's good to be uncomfortable. When you're uncomfortable, you're growing, you're developing, all great stuff. So how is, again, let me think of this through. Hang on. So what you have to share or what I have to share is going to mean something to somebody. Somebody needs to hear it at that point in time. It may not be every email you send me or every social post that you do that speaks to me, but a lot of them will. And sending that email is going to keep me top of mind. So, how do we deal with that uncomfortable nature, I guess, of sending an email that people might think of as junk?
Well, first of all, let's tackle the word uncomfortable. And you mentioned that uncomfortable is good, uncomfortable is okay. I'd take that a step further. I would say that being uncomfortable is necessary. You're chartering into something that's new and unknown. So that discomfort is your body and your mind saying, okay, we're into new territory. And that might be anxiety, that might be excitement. But here's a little secret. Anxiety and excitement both manifest themselves in the body physically the exact same way. It's what we call them that gives the meaning. So being comfortable, being uncomfortable is just a knowledge of, hey, this is normal. I'm growing. I want to keep growing. I want to keep serving the people that I market to. So this is a good thing. And then what you do with that discomfort and channeling it in a positive or a negative way really is the next step. But with this, I hear this, and you and I have talked about this with regards to my marketing efforts as I've tried to explore where do I spend my limited time as a solopreneur? Um, by the way, the email marketing ads, that's what sold me. But this feeling like it's junk, I'm going to challenge that a little bit, and that's what a mindset coach does, is challenging these assumptions. And I had to challenge my own assumptions. So I've spent some time like looking at my overloaded email inbox and wondering, okay, why do I have so many? A lot of them I don't read, but what I noticed in the last week or so is that even though sometimes I don't read them all, that person's still top of mind. So when I think, oh, I need some really good resources on delegation, I bet Michael Hyatt has a newsletter on that, or Michael Hyatt has a resource. So it's still being top of mind. And the email itself, once I do open them, has value. And that's the thing, having the value.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to remember that what you have to say has value to somebody, whatever it happens to be. So that's awesome. Okay. So, are there some tools or techniques or things that we can do to help shift our mindset so that people can see and understand that?
Yeah, absolutely. We tend to make one of three mistakes or all of three mistakes when we're looking at a situation that is bringing us some discomfort. One, we assume that our thoughts are facts, and thoughts are just thoughts. They're neutral. They're not good, they're not bad until we give them the meaning. And so we have just a little bit of an uphill battle here, but not, and it's not all lost, because our brain, and I've promised I'm not going to neuroscience geek out on you too much, but our brain was wired for survival. So anytime we sense a discomfort, our caveman instincts kind of and we go into protect mode. And as a result, we end up, out of thousands and thousands of thoughts a day, 80% of them actually become negative. So the first thing is to basically acknowledge the thought that we're having. Email is junk. Nobody's going to open it. It's a waste of my time. That's that self-protective nature. And then realize, okay, that's just a thought. When we're having a thought like that, we lapse into the second mistake I mean, it's a natural tendency too. We tend to think that because we have a feeling about something, or we have a specific thought about something, that the rest of the world thinks that way. And that's simply not true. And it's kind of unfair, because as you've said, Kendra, and people who are, whether you're a solopreneur, you're working in a marketing department, I'm guessing that you really believe in the value of whatever it is that you are offering out to the world. And someone needs to hear that.
Mhm.
So just because you're coming into it with, I have an overloaded inbox. Yes, there is a ton of email out there. But you also have something of value to say. Connect back with, why are you doing this in the first place? What is the driving force behind whatever you have chosen to do? And there's somebody who needs to hear that. So the first is just acknowledging that thoughts are thoughts. They're neutral. It's the weight that we give them, and we're going to be a little bit weighted toward the negative. So that's naming it. The next step is taming it, and that's realizing that your thoughts are not universally applicable to everybody else. So we look at taming it. And the third is to just really realize that you have something of value. And that's a bit of a challenge, but it's a habit. It's a habit. We don't routinely take out the head trash.
Mhm.
So it sits in the corner. and it accumulates and it accumulates and it accumulates. So we have to challenge those negative beliefs or perception. Now, I'm not saying go all Pollyanna, not saying that at all. But to challenge it for whether or not that limiting belief is realistic.
Okay. Thank you. So I definitely think that that's important. So, um, what do you think about journaling? Does that help change mindset?
And there are a number of techniques that can help from, you know, the first is just taking that pause to recognize what's going on and to sort of challenge yourself. But then as finding the way forward, some people find it through meditation, some people find it through journaling. Other people, when I say meditation or journaling, go, no, not me. Sometimes it's just a whatever connects you to actually taking that pause. I think one of the pitfalls, particularly with high achievers and things like journaling, is we put too many expectations on how they should be done or what they should be like. I personally have a very complicated relationship with journaling. It's some days it's two sentences. Yesterday was a good day. It was really productive. Some days it's pages where all of a sudden I'll have an aha moment. So my advice would be to try out some things, but don't put constraints on it. And meditating, I hear so much, and I used to be one of those type of people who would say, "My mind is too busy to meditate." It doesn't mean the meditation is not working. So take off some of those expectations of what things should look like, and find something that works for you to take that step back to get some perspective.
Okay. Yeah, I started journaling a little bit over some things that I was struggling getting over with. And I think I did like a whole page of like, you can do it, or I can do this, or something along those lines. And it had me smiling by like the third line of just writing a whole page of it. And it just, it's like, yes, okay, I can do that. And it does it like, and I've been a person that's like, okay, journaling, nice to have, but I am a big fan of meditation, even if it's just breathing exercises at my desk. Take a minute to breathe. My watch reminds me to breathe every so often. I usually ignore it, but when have the time, I can do that breathing exercise. So I do think that there's a lot to it. Um, are there other exercises that you recommend for anybody that's like not a journaling, or they're like, yeah, that's too foo foo for me?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And the thing about journaling and even affirmations, which you kind of touched on, you are this, or my email is valuable. There's a lot of actual research and science behind what that does. Um, that increases performance and productivity. So it's not all woo woo-y. Sometimes it can sound a little woo woo-y, but for the more practically minded, it's asking the questions. It's sort of putting on the investigator hat. So once you've taken, the first step is always taking that pause to sort of separate yourself out, and then looking at it as if you are an outside observer, or as if you're advising a friend, and say, what might be going on here? What might I be missing? Where might this particular thought not be accurate? How can I find uh, support, resources to help me reframe this more accurately? And that's where having a sounding board, you've been my sounding board for I don't know how many years now, both when I was in an organizational role and now out on my own, to have that sounding board to say, you know what, this is, I mean, how many discussions did we have in my previous role about the value of direct mail marketing? Um, and so it helps to have a knowledgeable sounding board to run things by, to say, you know what, am I missing something here? And that is probably the biggest question to ask is, am I missing something? What might I be missing when I what other information do I need to find to either uh, validate the way I'm thinking or to refute it. Now we have to be very careful of not getting into confirmation bias, which is we just seek out those resources that are going to say, "Oh yeah, you're right. Email's junk. Oh my gosh, I trash out 500 emails a day." Um, versus someone that's knowledgeable or someone who also has experience. And one recent story is last week. I mean, I got so many because I'm a knowledge junkie. I get so many emails, and in my email filter, which I love, uh, there was an email from a fellow coach. I'm like, huh, she's never emailed before. I wonder what she has to say. Click. Out of all of that sea of emails, that one person that I don't know well, but um, have found value in the times that I have spoken with her, it had me clicking it. So the relationship too is important.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, it could 100% on everything. It keeps you top of mind. You know, there's a value. I like what you say about not confirmation bias because, yeah, you'll get a lot of people. You say something, you'll get a lot of people that chime in that they agree. Uh, but doing that research and understanding what it is. There was a question somebody recently posted in another group that I'm a part of, and they said, how often do you want to send emails? They're like, I'm sending once a week, but I feel like I should be sending more. And everyone else is like, no, I'd unsubscribe. No, I'd unsubscribe. I'm like, it depends on what you have to share because I get a daily email from marketing props that I love. I don't read every day. I get it every day. And I'd say 10 to 20% of the time I'm reading it, or at least sending it to my inbox out of same box that I use. So if you guys do want an email filter to put all those newsletters in one place and go through them once a day, same box is the key. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was just, I was like, well, it depends, right? It totally depends on really what you want to do. So, or what you have to say, or how much you have to say in your target audience, how much they really want from you. Once you figure that out, I mean, as a service-based business, I send once a month. I'm looking to expand some of what I do, and so I may be stepping it up to once a week. But again, it depends on my business. My clients didn't want to hear from me more than once a month with the information I had to share. So yeah, so I think that that's really important. So thank you. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then, so you're a coach. You do a lot of different coaching and help people get out of their own way, which I think we all need because you've also been a sounding board for me numerous times in the past for a long time. How does having a coach add value to something like this?
Well, the value of a coach, and I really wish I would have remembered who I heard use this analogy because I should be attributing it to wherever I first heard it. But I'm going to throw it out to the universal attribution. It, someone once told me that the insides of a jar can't read its own label. So we're too close to what's really going on to be able to fully, I mean, we can partially take a step back. And that's why it's important to kind of get that mindset check in place internally, but then also use a sounding board externally. And what a coach does is, I mean, a good friend can act somewhat in the same way. A good friend sometimes will have their own self-interest in advising, like, how many times, as we were growing up, the ill-fit boyfriend or girlfriend, and the friend is like, "Ugh," or he's horrible, or he's horrible because I want to spend more time with you. So sometimes that clouds best intentions, but not exactly fully neutral. When someone is working with a coach, we're fully neutral, and are specifically trained to draw information out through questions and then reflect back to give perspective. The person being coached is the one that really is coming up with the answers and solutions on how they can best move forward, because they have that intuitive knowledge already, but sometimes it's just under layers and layers of stuff. And a coach helps pick away at that, and devise and help guide the pathway forward. So it's fun. It's awesome to see somebody aspire to something and then be a part of them really stepping into owning it.
No, I think that's great. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think I loved it when you shared that the insides of a jar can't read its own label, because I thought that was like just so fitting. Because it's, yeah, you do need that sounding board. You need that level of you need someone to question you to the level that you get to really what you already knew, and then figure out a plan to activate that. So I do strongly recommend, sending emails, get over the fact that it's junk. I'm in an online course right now, and they had, I was just telling Nancy before we went live, Jam Gamble went live on the Facebook group, and she said, you just have to show up. It was how to go live, stay alive while going live, or something along those lines. And she's like, you just have to show up. If you have something to say, it doesn't matter if anybody tunes in live. She goes, she's had people that haven't tuned in live and then watched it later, and things like, you just have to show up and share what you have, get better at what you're doing, and understand that there's value in the information that you have to share. And I think that goes for doing something like a Facebook Live like this here, or, sending an email, posting on social, making phone calls to prospective clients, any of it, doing a webinar, any and all of it. You just have to show up because you have information that's of value. And I think that that's something that a lot of us take for granted because we do it all day, every day. I take for granted a lot of the stuff that I do in email marketing. I'm like, oh, it's so easy. I was actually just in a meeting and I was showing somebody how to upload an image. Well, I do it 100 times a day. He's like, oh, that's a long process. I'm like, I didn't really think it was a long process, but okay, yeah. No, it was a long process because he hadn't seen that, and hadn't done it before. But by the third time he does it, he's going to throw out the instruction sheet that I'm going to send him shortly and say, why did I even need that? So, it's, again, what we know isn't necessarily what someone else knows. And we can't assume that level of knowledge.
Absolutely, Kendra. And I do a fair amount of career transition coaching. And one of the things that the questions that I ask is what comes easily to you? And we often dismiss what comes easily to us as being something that comes easily to everyone. And that's simply not true. And, having an expert or someone in, I mean, I just saw that Jamie Trull commented on Facebook, and oh my gosh, having Jamie Trull around on the finance end of things. Jamie's, we talk about SaneBox. I have SaneBox too. Jamie's emails go into my inbox. I have them trained, so they go in with my regular emails from.
I got my fourth quarter
individuals.
reminders today.
Yes, got my fourth quarter reminder too. Went right into my inbox because what she has provided is of value, and it's something that comes naturally to her, or that's in her like zone of genius, if you want to sort of use the cliche. But it's something that I don't know, and she makes my life easier. And how can you use email marketing to make your target market's lives easier? Because that's really a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us went into business to help people. We didn't do it because we were going to make $1 million. It's just, I don't make $1 million. But,
Not yet, Kendra.
Exactly. No, but again, I didn't do this. I did this to actually originally to have more time to volunteer with nonprofits. And now I work with nonprofits to help them do that. So a lot of us went into this really well intentioned about making a difference. And email marketing and just shifting your mindset, I think, hopefully, if you take nothing else out of this, you will understand that you have to show up, that you have to send things. Not everything you send is going to resonate with every single person. And I think it's just really important to keep that in mind. So, do you
Well,
have
and
anything else to add?
yeah, another thing about with respect to mindset and email marketing, and I'm speaking to myself as I'm sharing this, as I'm getting ready to launch my first. I've been in business 2 years, and a background in communications, and I'm launching my first newsletter this month. For a lot of the very same mindset things that a lot of the people watching have, but I think it's also important to remember that just because you make a decision about something and pursue a path doesn't mean that you're wed to that path. And I think that's the beauty of email marketing, and even social media marketing with the analytics and everything. You can change it up and see what's going to resonate more. And the other thing too, around mindset is, just realizing too that sometimes as solopreneurs and small business owners, we feel very personally invested in everything. And while we want to be personal with our email marketing and really add value, to not take those analytics personally when someone may unsubscribe.
Mm-hmm.
You're just filtering and getting closer to your actual target core audience for email marketing. Sorry, I think I just stepped over into your expert area of expertise,
No,
Kendra.
that's
So
awesome though. Someone just unsubscribed from my newsletter this uh just this month, and I was like, he unsubscribed. So I get it. I was like, but seriously, like I thought we were friends. Um like it is how, that's how it goes. So, no, it's very important. Definitely analytics, definitely analyzing and taking a look to see how you can improve, how you can provide more value. If people are engaging with a certain type of content, making sure that they do that. So,
Mhm.
and that you serve more of it,
Yeah,
you know? So awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Nancy. I really
thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you guys all for tuning in, watching the replay. Thank you, Jamie, for coming. It was awesome that you tuned in and that you're going to watch this later. I hope you enjoy it. Um, and thank you again, Nancy. I appreciate it. And we'll see you again next week with a new live that I'm actually working on right now. I'm like, I had the topic and then of course I misplaced it. So take a look out for that, because it'll definitely be some stuff that you need with content marketing. Thanks and have a great day.